Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, if you didn't think the embarrassment for Dragon Age Veilguard was done yet, well, ladies and gentlemen, Farming Simulator is going out there and embarrassing it once again. Not only has Farming Simulator 25 had way more concurrent players than Dragon Age Veilguard ever did at its peak, it also did within the first 24 hours. And well, ladies and gentlemen, after watching our dear sweet Darth Dave play Farming Simulator over there on Kick last night, well, it looks like a question we had asked was, I wonder if they're ever going to release sales data for it. I wonder if we're going to be able to find out how many it's sold, so that way we can compare it to the rumors we've heard about Dragon Age the Veilguard. And well, ladies and gentlemen, ask and you shall receive. Because as you can see over here from fandompulse.substack, Farming Simulator 25 developer reveals it sold 2 million copies in the first week, ladies and gentlemen, in the first week. And one of the beautiful parts about this too is there's a little comment that I found out, curious little thing I found out about the Farming Simulator community out there. The majority of them don't play through Steam. They actually download it personally straight to their actual PC because of all the mods and stuff like that. So not only was Dragon Age Veilguard embarrassed by Steam, but the majority of the Farming Simulator 25 players don't even play through Steam. They get it through some other means out there. And ladies and gentlemen, the fact that we have now found out that it is absolutely crushed Dragon Age Veilguard in sales, that is absolutely hilarious, and we're going to talk about it today. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below. Are you a Farming Simulator 25 fan out there? Are you somebody that actually tried a Dragon Age Veilguard out of unironicness? Did you actually enjoy these kind of things? Do you think it's funny as all hell that something that cost hundreds of millions of dollars is getting beat by Farming Simulator 25, ladies and gentlemen? Well, let us know about all that in the comment section down below. And if you'd like to support the channel, please check out the links in the description as well. So for Darth Dave and from fandompulse.substack.com and our dear sweet John F. Trent, after embarrassing Dragon Age the Veilguard, Farming Simulator 25 developer reveals it sold 2 million copies in its first week. And if that isn't them actually doing that intentionally because of the fact that we've all been talking about this, I don't know what is. Maybe it's just curious. Maybe it's just accident. Maybe somebody over at Farming Simulator 25 wants to just rub Dragon Age the Veilguard's noses in it even more. Either way, I'm here for it, boys and girls. Farming Simulator 25 developer Giant Software revealed it sold 2 million copies of the game in its first week after its peak player concurrent embarrassed BioWare and its Dragon Age the Veilguard release. Giant Software shared on X that Farming Simulator 25 was its most successful launch in the history of Farming Simulator. Certainly can't say the same thing for Dragon Age, now can you? It added that it had 2 million copies sold in a week. Furthermore, it touted that it had over 125,000 players playing concurrently on its launch day. On top of sharing its achievements, the developer also noted that it was already working on a free content updates, patches, packs, and expansions. It also promised we will keep adding more mechanic machines, features, and fun. So literally, for the price of the game, much like what Space Marine 2 is doing over there, we're giving you all the free updates, all of the season passes, all of the new stuff is all going to be for free after buying just the base game. That's exactly what Farming Simulator 25 is doing, and this is a great thing that really ingratiates you to a lot of your fans, to a lot of your audiences, and to your gamers out there, because this is the kind of stuff they love. You keep working on a game, you believe in a product, and you don't continue to trying to overcharge for it just to turn into a money-milking cow out there, like what we have seen some done from so many of these other AAA studios out there. This is how you succeed in the modern gaming era, boys and girls. As noted by Giant Software, the game had a peak concurrent player count of 126,761 on its launch day, and we hit an all-time peak of 135,970 a few days later on Sunday, November 27th. Color as shocked there. Your biggest numbers always come in from the weekend. As of writing, there are more people playing Farming Simulator 25 than Dragon Age the Veilguard's all-time peak. There are currently 94,737 concurrent players. Dragon Age the Veilguard peaked at 89,418. Yes, boys and girls, it is not even close. In the middle of the day, probably in the early morning when John was writing this article, it literally had more concurrent players than Dragon Age's peak ever had. And that is embarrassing. I mean, BioWare, what were you thinking? Hiring this insane activist to completely and totally destroy your franchise out there, and now to have yourselves beat by a farming simulator. And it's not like the first one. This is version 25, ladies and gentlemen. That is pathetic. cinematic, and guess what? It's exactly what BioWare absolutely deserves. So it's unclear how many units Dragon Age the Veilguard has actually sold, as BioWare nor EA have publicly announced the sales status. But as we've been over before, in the past, JT Smash and all of his insiders out there initially said 500,000. Supposedly that's been updated to 1 million sales, but literally you have a game that BioWare spent years of development, hundreds of millions of dollars, all to flush it down the drain and get beat by a farming simulator because they decided to bet on diversity, inclusion, and equity, a bunch of nonsense talking points and a bunch of woke politics, and it is blown up in their faces. And the fact that Farming Simulator 25 is beating that, boys and girls, that is just the chef's kiss of the whole situation. Because BioWare, just like so many of these other companies out there, decided to invest and bet on diversity, inclusion, and equity. They decided to believe all the nonsense, lies, and talking points that this was going to bring in more people, this was going to bring in more players, and it was not going to affect anybody out there. It was not going to affect anything else. But at the time and time we have again seen when they decide to concentrate on diversity, inclusion, and equity, the DIE of all the kind of crazy kind of stuff out there, they literally always end up sacrificing gameplay. They end up sacrificing storyline. And that's the other thing about it. Even if you don't have a problem with Dragon Age the Veilguard and all of its diversity, inclusion, and equity nonsense and all of the you have to be an ally no matter what, and how basically you can't get along, you have to get along with everybody. The story is bland, the combat is dull, and everything I've heard about this game over and over again is that it's just a hot pile of steaming garbage outside of all of the woke agenda that it constantly forces down your throat over and over again. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly what a company like BioWare deserves. To have Farming Simulator 25 outpace it in sales by a long shot, and also to have it absolutely destroy itself in the steaming charts as well. Boys and girls, this is absolutely glorious. This is a beautiful irony, and guess what? At the end of the day, it's exactly what BioWare, all of their woke politics and nonsense they interjected into the Dragon Age franchise, they deserve it, because guess what? They did it to themselves.